Hey speaker, this is Walter Bond, and let me frame this up because you need to understand. I have been in this business since 2001. That's a long, long time. And I want you to understand there's a distinct difference between a professional speaker and a professional who speaks. The expectation is much greater. So I'm speaking to a professional speaker and not a professional who speaks, if that's your aspirations. Because if you want to be a professional speaker who commands high fees, here's a conversation we have to have. If you want to be a speaker who commands high fees, this is a very, very valid conversation. And I want to cover 10 tips that are very basic that can help you make that transition from being a professional speaker or professional who speaks into becoming a professional speaker, okay? Here's the first thing we got to talk about: confidence. You know what? The number one thing that I understand about being a professional speaker is confidence. You have to understand, every time I come off a platform, people come up to me and say, "Oh my God, how do you do it?" I'm like, "What do you mean? How do you speak in front of so many people and you're not nervous?" It's not a big deal for me. Sometimes my heart is like, get more people in here. I don't care if it's 3,000. I don't care if it's 5,000. I've once spoken in front of 25,000. And let me be clear, the only time that I struggled a little bit was 2 events. One was in front of 25,000 people. That was different. It had a sound delay, like 3 seconds, and it was 25,000 people. The second time, it was only 3,000 people, but it was 3,000 other motivational speakers. So out of the couple of decades I've been at this, there's only been really 2 times where I've been nervous, and it was in front of 25,000. And the real time I got nervous was in front of 3,000 speakers. But at that moment, it was only about 30 to maybe 60 seconds that I was a little bit uptight, and eventually I kind of settled in. What am I saying? The first tip is confidence. Confidence is arrogance under control. I want you to have permission to be confident. If someone is hiring you, they're paying you money, they've already vetted you. They've already done their homework. They've already done their research. You're coming in as a subject matter expert. It's okay to be confident. Don't be arrogant, but be confident, okay? It's very critical if you want to become a professional speaker. Here's a second tip, which is very, very basic. Have clarity of your message. You have to know what you're coming to talk about. You've been in events, you've been in the audience, but the speaker rambles. Typically, when a speaker rambles, there's one issue at stake. The speaker didn't have clarity on their message and the message they want to get across. So if you want to be a professional speaker, clarity is literally everything. Know what you're going to talk about. And when you get that microphone, talk about the one thing or the 2 things, maybe 3 things that you've been hired to talk about. A little bit of a newsflash. People can only process so much information. So if you want to talk about 10 things, they can't process everything. So clarity is everything. Here's a third key: delivery. Your delivery needs to be very dynamic. When I think about a delivery, it's not about what you say, it's really about how you say it. So if you're going to be a professional speaker, your delivery is literally everything. And you need to set a high expectation of your delivery. So here's a tip: record every time you speak. The biggest way you can grow is by recording every time you speak. I don't care if it's on an iPhone. I don't care if it's an iPad. You gotta get some game film. And when you watch your delivery, you can critique yourself. I'm talking too fast, I'm talking too slow, my shirt tail is out. Whatever the deal is, really be hard on yourself as it relates to your delivery. Now, a little bit of a tip: the way you should approach your business is entertainment first. I'm gonna say it again. If I were you, I would approach your business as entertainment first. Why? Think about it. People get paid to be comedians, okay? They don't expect content. You can go and watch a top comedian. All you want to do is laugh and be entertained. So as a motivational speaker, thought leader, consultant, if you get a chance to keynote, your delivery is everything, okay? Think entertainment first. Here's a fourth key. Don't communicate with your audience, connect. It is so important. In the first couple of minutes, build rapport. Now later on, I'm gonna talk about storytelling. There's all kinds of stories, but don't communicate with your audience, connect with your audience. And the best way to connect with your audience is by becoming relatable. So when I speak, I tell all kinds of stories about being married, my wife, about being a parent, about being a kid, about being a son, about being a child, about growing up, family. Why? Because everyone has that connection. And so connecting with your audience is important. So think about two cars. One has a great engine, one needs a jump. Until you can get your cables connected into that car that needs a jump, you can't give it a jump. So before you get into content, before you get too deep, make sure you connect with your audience. Make sure you build rapport. Here's a fifth key. The reason why someone's gonna hire you, I don't care if it's $500. I don't care if it's $50,000. They're gonna hire you because of your knowledge and your expertise. So you come and present. We talked about confidence. They want your knowledge and they want your expertise. So be comfortable being outlandish, or be comfortable being very, very concise with your message. Opinionated, okay? That's what they're paying for. That's what they want. If you're concerned about hurting someone's feelings, if you're overly concerned about being politically correct, in many cases, you're not going to be knowledgeable and you're not going to be the expert that they want. So people are hiring you to be opinionated. People are hiring you to become the expert. So be comfortable being very, very direct. Be comfortable being opinionated. So right now, I spent a lot of time with you. I'm halfway done with my program. What's your confidence like? Do you have clarity of message? Do you need to work on your delivery? Are you really good at connecting with your audience? But most importantly, if you're not a subject matter expert, you need to become a subject matter expert. The truth is, no one can stop you from becoming a subject matter expert. Here's a sixth key: structure. You've been at events. You've heard speakers. They are all over the place. They start here, they go there, and before you know it, you're asking yourself and whoever came with you, what are they talking about? So when you present, be very simple and have a structured presentation. Now, for a long time, I used no PowerPoints. I would grab a microphone and go. Now, after decades in this business, I've shifted. A PowerPoint presentation is a cheat sheet, not for your audience, but for you. And the truth is, people are visual learners. So one tip of maintaining structure could be your PowerPoint. It keeps you in line, it keeps you in sequence, it keeps you in order. So if you have trouble with rambling, if you have trouble with being all over the place, I give you permission to use a PowerPoint presentation in your keynote, because structure is important. Keep it simple, and what's simple gets done. Here's a sixth key. This is a big one. I think this has helped my career. The biggest compliment I get when I'm done is, Walter Bond, you are real. So here's my next key. Be authentic. Be exactly who you are. I don't think being real should be a compliment, but the reality is, it is. I am from the South Side of Chicago. I played professional basketball for 8 years. Now, yes, I'm in business. Yes, I work with executives. Yes, I'm a thought leader. But the truth is, I am who I am. I'm not embarrassed about my background. I don't try to become someone that I'm not. When I think about authenticity, the biggest mistake you're making right now, hear me clearly, you have all your favorite speakers. I do too. I have speakers that I respect. I have speakers that I admire, but I never go out and try and mimic these speakers. I played in the NBA. I admired Michael Jordan. I admired Dr. J. I had tons of ball players I admired, but I would never go out and mimic them because that's disrespectful to me. I respected the great players. I respect the great speakers, but being authentic is about you being you. When I watched game film of speakers early on, I was really looking for fundamentals. And the two fundamentals I learned, is that great speakers are very entertaining and dynamic. I wasn't going to try and mimic you, but I respected your entertainment. And I respected that speakers were very, very dynamic. I understood at a high level, if I'm going to be a great speaker, I need to become very entertaining and dynamic. But the second key is to give my audience great information. So being authentic is about me being me. Why? Because there's nothing wrong with me. I want you to understand the same thing. Be authentic. You don't need to act like somebody else because there's nothing wrong with you. Who you are, your background, where you come from is very unique to you. Your power, your true power is about you being authentically you. Here's the eighth key, adaptability. It is absolutely annoying when I hear a speaker give the same exact message regardless of who's in the room. Now, the truth is, you need to respect your client. You need to understand your customer. You need to understand who you're speaking to. Why would you give the same exact message to a group of high school kids that you would give to a group of executives? That makes no sense to me. Who's in your audience is most important. You are there to be the servant. So if I were you, adapt your message. A huge part of being successful as a speaker is adaptability. If you're speaking to high school kids, speak to the high school kids. If you're speaking to executives, speak to the executive. If you're speaking to a room full of women, a small business owners, the audience doesn't matter. But for me, when I do my pre-event calls, those are critical for me because I need to know who I'm speaking to. If I don't know who I'm speaking to, it's tough for me. It's hard for me because I want to adapt my message to exactly who I'm speaking to. A huge key of you being a power speaker is adaptability. Now, I'm almost done. I'm on key number 9. Now, I'm going to talk about microphones later. But nonverbal communication is everything. I majored in communication in college. What you say, how you say it, and your nonverbals are huge. So your nonverbal communication is literally 50% of your communication. I'm gonna say it again. Nonverbal communication is 50% of your communication. If you don't understand communication, get this clearly. Nonverbal communication is 50% of your communication. You understand being sarcastic. You understand passive aggressive. It's not what you say, but how you say it. So if you're going to be on a platform, nonverbal communication is everything. I've been all over the world, and nonverbal communication accentuates everything you're trying to say. So use your hands, use your body, use your face. I love IMAGs. Sometimes I go into big ballrooms, and they have big IMAG screens. Sometimes a facial expression, sometimes a pause, sometimes a look can put the audience in stitches. Nonverbal communication is just as important as communication. And here's my final thought, practice and preparation. In our coaching program, I Speak. And if you're not in the I Speak, you need to join it. Our biggest lesson is the more you speak, the more you speak. I'm gonna say it again. The more you speak, the more you speak. When I get done, people say, Walter Bond, you're so good. And my thought is, I should be. I've been doing this for decades. To me, that's not a big deal. If you do anything for decades, you should be good. If you've been doing drywall for decades, shouldn't you be good? If you've been a chef for decades, shouldn't you be good? If you're gonna be a professional speaker, if you're gonna be a pro, practice and preparation is everything. People are hiring you to be a professional speaker. The bar is significantly higher when someone is paying you to speak. Thank you for visiting today. Again, my name is Walter Bond, Hall of Fame motivational speaker, and I just wanted to spend a little time sharing with you the basics of what you need to be or become to master the art of becoming a professional speaker.